Welcome to my channel, Soldier Commands. Stop scrolling, turn the volume up, and give me the next few minutes of your attention. Because what you're about to hear is not speculation, it's not opinion, and it's not propaganda.
It is the convergence of multiple intelligence assessments, battlefield data, intercepted communications, and internal Russian reporting, all pointing to the same conclusion. And mind you, the Russian war machine is no longer failing at the front. It is breaking from the inside, and it is happening faster than almost anyone expected. Down for years, Moscow built its power on one unshakable belief that its military structure was disciplined, obedient, and controllable, that orders issued at the top would always be executed at the bottom, that fear and hierarchy would hold everything together. That belief is now collapsing. In the last 2 weeks alone, intelligence services have confirmed a surge in events that were previously considered unthinkable inside the Russian system. Field commanders refusing orders, units delaying attacks without authorization, you know, and internal security forces being deployed not against enemies, but against their own soldiers. Jaya, this is not a single incident. This is systemic failure. Let's begin with what happened inside Moscow. 9 days ago, senior Russian leadership convened in a secure underground facility designed for moments of national crisis. These rooms are used rarely, only when the stakes are existential. Everyone was there: military district commanders, senior intelligence officials, security chiefs, and the leadership responsible for Russia's most sensitive strategic assets. The purpose of the meeting was simple: to confront reality. For nearly 3 years, reporting to the top had been filtered, sanitized, and softened. And bad news was delayed, failures were reframed, losses were minimized, but recent battlefield data made denial impossible. Banned internal assessments revealed casualty figures far exceeding public claims, a decadent losses that could no longer be hidden, and most dangerously, a replacement rate that could not keep pace with destruction. According to multiple intelligence estimates shared in that meeting, Russia has lost a majority of its pre-war professional ground forces in combat effectiveness, not just in numbers, but in cohesion, experience, and morale. And morale is where the collapse accelerates. Land reports from multiple military districts painted the same picture. Officers no longer trust the information coming from Moscow. Units believe they are being fed false data about enemy strength. Orders are issued that ignore battlefield reality. When commanders stop believing headquarters understands the war, obedience becomes conditional. That is the moment every military fears. Because discipline is not enforced by fear alone. It survives on trust, and trust is gone. But this internal crisis collided with something else, something Moscow feared even more: a strategic shift in Western policy. For years, Russia operated under a critical assumption that strikes deep inside its territory would remain politically restricted, that escalation fears would protect rear area assets, refineries, command centers, air defenses, logistics hubs. That assumption is now dead. Recent authorizations removed long-standing limitations, allowing Ukraine to target legitimate military infrastructure wherever it exists. No geographic safe zones. No artificial boundaries. That single change shattered Russia's defensive calculus. Within hours, emergency redeployments began. Air defense systems were pulled from the front to protect assets that had never needed protection before. Planned offensives were halted, not postponed, halted. And when an army stops attacking because it must defend its own rear, the initiative is gone, and Ukraine acted immediately. Dalmandia, in the early hours of a recent morning, Russian early warning systems detected incoming aerial activity. Not a massive strike, something worse: a coordinated, layered operation. Decoy drones crossed monitored airspace first, forcing radar activation. The moment those systems lit up, their positions were exposed. Electronic warfare assets followed, jamming communications, flooding radar screens with false targets. For minutes, operators could not distinguish reality from illusion. That confusion was fatal. Manned precision strikes then targeted the nerve centers, Nook radars, command vehicles, launch platforms. In less than 20 minutes, one of Russia's most advanced air defense systems, worth over $1 billion, ceased to exist. Bounteous, but the real damage wasn't financial. It was psychological, because this wasn't luck, it was knowledge. Ukraine knew where the system was, how it operated. When crews rotated where coverage gaps existed, that level of precision only exists when intelligence penetration is deep, uncomfortably deep. And the strike didn't stop there. Simultaneous attacks hit logistics hubs, fuel depots, and command integration points. Communications were disrupted before relocation orders could be issued, supply nodes burned before convoys could move. Bound Ukraine didn't just hit forces, they attacked functionality. Mamdut, intercepted communications afterward, reveal something rarely heard in Russian command channels. No. Open admissions of failure, banned requests for reinforcements that didn't exist, demands for assets already destroyed, language describing situations as irreversible, and then silence. Meaned no immediate escalation, no dramatic response, no confident messaging. Silence is not strength. Silence is shock. But the most dangerous development isn't happening on the battlefield. It's happening within the Russian command structure itself. Over the past month, intelligence agencies have documented multiple cases of field commanders refusing to execute orders they consider suicidal or pointless. Not desertion, not mutiny, something far more dangerous, selective obedience. In one case, an armored unit commander explicitly stated that executing orders as given would result in destruction without strategic gain, and that he would exercise tactical discretion. Dinned in Russian military language. That is a refusal. Being another sector, a brigade delayed an assault by reporting mechanical failures, buying time to coordinate with adjacent units facing identical orders. Working together, commanders submitted assessments warning the plan was fundamentally flawed. Those warnings were ignored. So the delays continued. And the assaults never happened. This behavior is contagious. Dan, once one commander realizes refusal is possible and survivable, the illusion of absolute authority cracks. Delinja, the Kremlin's response has been repression. Internal security services have expanded their presence inside military structures. Political officers have been granted increased authority. Expedited courts and harsh penalties have been reintroduced. But repression only works when the enforcers are trusted, and trust is exactly what's missing. And field officers know political overseers cannot lead troops into combat. They know security forces cannot replace competence. Remove enough capable commanders and the army collapses entirely. The repression is not restoring control. It is accelerating collapse. And now comes the factor Moscow fears most. The veterans, hundreds of thousands of soldiers are rotating back from the front, men who have seen the reality of the war. They know the losses, they know the lies, they know the incompetence. They are returning to an economy under strain, rising prices, and broken promises. An authoritarian system survives by delivering either prosperity or fear. When it fails to deliver both, loyalty evaporates. This is why extraordinary measures are being taken. BMDU elite facilities, including sensitive strategic sites, are now guarded by overlapping security forces, not because of foreign threats. But because trust within the system is eroding. Land. When a government begins guarding its most dangerous assets from its own military, it signals a loss of internal confidence. And all of this unfolds against an economic backdrop that grows darker by the week. Reserves are shrinking. Emergency financial measures are being quietly implemented. Critical industries are cannibalizing civilian sectors to sustain war production. This is not resilience, it is liquidation. To keep fighting today, Russia is consuming tomorrow. So, what happens next? GEMIO intelligence agencies outline three broad paths: a negotiated settlement, unlikely because admitting defeat risks internal collapse; Blana power shift from palace intrigue to broader instability, increasingly plausible as elite unity fractures; band or escalation, the most dangerous option chosen by leaders who believe they have nothing left to lose. But history offers a warning here. Systems like this do not fall in a single dramatic moment, they hollow out. Bound orders are issued but quietly ignored. Authority exists, but only on paper. Everyone pretends control remains while privately calculating what happens when it doesn't. This is how empires end. Men not with explosions in the capital, but with silence in command rooms, with unanswered orders, with leaders walking away from meetings without solutions. Russia's war was supposed to last days. Instead, it has consumed years, and now it is consuming the system that launched it. Ukraine does not need to defeat Russia outright. They need only endure while internal collapse accelerates. Ban time. Once Moscow's ally is now working against it, the unraveling has begun. And the world would be wise to pay attention, because what happens when a nuclear armed system loses internal cohesion is not just Russia's problem. It's everyone's.